Hello, and welcome to Cañete'S The Pill, which is a translation of La Pastela, which is my Argentine YouTube podcast. As you know, I'm an art critic, I'm an art historian, and I have been writing my reviews in my blog, lowartnotpeople.com, and taboofart.com, and I got bored, so I decided to start doing this weekly podcast where I could be more succinct, more precise. My kind of art criticism is very no-nonsense, straightforward, politically incorrect sometimes, hopefully not too much, for the English public, because they're very, So, I will do reviews, and I will try to discuss and explore artists that interest me, young and older artists that interest me, but not because they're perfect, but because I can make them connect with the viewer in the process of its making, but not in its manual making, but in the process of its thinking, and I like to see the process of the thinking process in the things that are given to us, in order to understand the dialogue that it's posed between the viewer and the artist. I have been bored to death with Hans Ulrich Obrist's Do It, which is like, I'm going to talk briefly about it. It's a compendium of nonsense, but this is the curator of Marina Abramovic's 512 Hours show that's starting now at the Serpentine, and that is the topic of our review today. So I hope you like it, and I'm sorry about my English and my accent, but I hope you find it charming. This is Rodrigo Cañete. Welcome. "You look suspicious," Marina Abramovic said to an older couple standing to one side of a room in the Serpentine gallery on Thursday, this last Thursday. The couple looked well, suspicious, as around them people contemplated panels of bright primary colors or lay on the floor, eyes closed. Abramovic took them by the hand, gently asked them to close their eyes, and led them away, walking with a slow, measured step. It was day 2 of 512 Hours, Abramovic's first new work since her 2010 retrospective that was called The Artist is Present at the MoMA in New York, in which I was involved as an art advisor, and which of course transformed her from a pioneering performance artist to a global celebrity and possibly also a fashion icon. There, at MoMA, she sat motionless 6 days a week, 7 hours a day, looking straight at whoever sat down opposite her into their eyes. This time, at the Serpentine, there is no chair. She says, "There's just me and the public. It is insane what I try to do." I must say that when I purchased work by her for clients and for myself, I got to meet her a few times, and I always felt an unbreathable distance between the two, an unbreachable distance between the two of us, and it wasn't because of me. This one feels comfortable in the fakeness of the art world. Even though from the very beginning she claimed friendship, she was too far away. In fact, I remember when her London galleries told me that she tells everybody that she is her best friend, and they tend to believe it. I knew that this was not friends material, but I got even more curious to get closer to her in order to explore what all this is all about. I mean, this is a performance artist. Is her life a performance? The title of the show, currently at the Serpentine, 512 Hours, derives from the length of time Abramovic will spend in the gallery over the duration of the exhibition, running through August the 25th, and it is simple and radical. There is nothing in the Serpentine galleries except lockers, where visitors can put their bags and electronic devices. Abramovic, as well as an assistant, and several museum guards are there. What will happen in this space, no one quite knows. "I honestly don't know, and I don't have a plan," she says. That is the point. The idea is that the public are my material, and I'm theirs. I will open the gallery myself in the morning and close it at 6 p.m. with my keys. I want to understand how I can be in the present moment, be with the public. On Wednesday, hundreds of people lined up outside to enter the gallery, although on Thursday, when I was there was no wait and there was no queue. This is different than the moment where the fascination went on a non-stop craze. So, is it over for Marina? In fact, I met her after I bought those works, and the first time I met her, it was when I introduced myself at the Freeze Art Fair opening party, where she was escorted by PS1 MoMA's curator Klaus Bissenbach, who immediately gave me the evil eye. I worked for the money guys, so they had to love me anyway, and this gave me an opportunity to have a closer look at her project. We could say that there is a breaking point, which is not necessarily a breakthrough, in her career with her MoMA retrospective, curated by Bissenbach himself, which, as I argue here, opens the door for the establishment of curators to claim space as artists. I would say that the moment that seemed to move the world, and all of you who had seen her documentary, The Artist is Present, you saw the moment when Ulay, her ex-husband, sat in front of her and made her finally react and cry through that connection. But as I argue here, that was not an artistic moment and not an authentic moment, but a forced one. Ulay, her ex-husband, seems bemused by this woman that seems very far away from the woman he used to love. Although on one hand the show claimed to be quintessentially human, or the quintessence of human experience through love, the truth was that human side undid itself when we saw Ulay's surprised eyes. It was real and fake at the same time, and there was something in between performance and theater that transformed the whole experience into the theatrical staging of authenticity as something that could be staged, but actually cannot. The question that Ulay, her ex-husband, and all of us started to ask ourselves was, is this woman for real or is she an imposter? Another different but equally valid question would be, can art be massive and global and still connect to people? First and foremost, we must specify what we understand as performance art and how is that different from theater. I believe that theater is fake by definition because it represents something that is foreign to the actor. That is why the actor acts in a directed play which script is written by someone else. By contrast, a performance artist or performance art aims at staging the authentic as if it creates the conditions of something real to happen and unexpected. That is why Marina, so the difference between theater and performance art is that theater is about the expected and performance art is about the unexpected. That is why Marina Abramovic at MoMA and at the Serpentine claims that she aims at nothing and that hers is the art of nothingness. However, her material is an authentic connection between two people, the artist and audience. So that connection, that unexpected thing must happen to be art. Let me say that I've been all my life trying to find that kind of connection with someone, and I don't know if I even managed to find it. I've been in love, but I don't know if I managed to have that connection. In the process, I got into drugs, sex binges, rehab, recovery, and I'm still trying to find out how to kiss someone without having to be high or drunk. But Marina Abramovic seems to be far ahead from us by being able to package the experience of love and connection as an experience. That experience becomes an attraction in itself, in a sort of themed park or amusement park that is the contemporary art world. But art as an experience that can be scheduled and timed is an oxymoron. Aren't we facing Abramovic's attempt to transform art into just another activity of that corporate experience called life these days? Is this what love should be in the Starbucks generation? Can Marina, who had a sadistic Soviet mother, understand life in loving terms? At the Serpentine, Hans Obrist Ulrich, its deputy director, functions as curator, and it makes total sense that he's curating this project for Marina Abramovic. Because I would say that Hans Obrist Ulrich's project is that of the dehumanization of art. Everything that he that he does has to do with distillate coldness from art and make it unconnected, disconnected. In fact, recently, his book "Do It" was published as a compendium of recipes by different artists, telling people how to do some art at home, some conceptual art, like Marina Abramovic's art. He says about it, "It would be very nice for the first time in art history to have an exhibition that never stopped." Well, first and foremost, this is not the first time that this happens, because Christian art used to be an exhibition that never stopped in itself. But the thing with Hans Obrist is that, of the curator at Marina Abramovic's show, is that he makes the roles of the artist and the curator to collapse into one, making the work of art and the art gallery disappear. This is the art of post-corporate isolation, or the virtual, the internet era, the total idealization of human contact. According to Hans Obrist, people shouldn't either love or connect. Life should become platonic or virtual. So you should go to your house with your book with the instructions of how to make art and not even meet people, just do the art in your house and fuck off. Marina Abramovic cannot afford such a thing, I mean isolation, if we bear in mind that she was raised by a sadistic mother who kept telling her that she was a piece of shit. That is why Marina Abramovic is ready to do whatever it takes to be loved or to feel that she's connecting. This was obvious in The Life and Death of Marina Abramovic, the play directed by Peter Wilson, which was premiered in Manchester in 2011. I would say that the play was the end of her career as a performance artist due to the fact that it was a musical or a theatrical play, not a performance. In fact, the artistic performance, if you want, occurred hidden from the audience eye when Marina decided to hand over the power to manipulate the way her life story would be told. Having said this, the play in itself was a theatrical performance and nothing authentic happened there. It was scripted, it was rehearsed, it was directed, it was a play. That was not performance art. A few months before then, in her The Artist is Present, Marina Abramovic seemed to distillate human connectivity by turning the encounter with members of her public into a marathon that took place for several weeks. It was the conflation of the physical exhaustion of the task and the museum-like minimalism at MoMA that branded the whole thing as presence. The artist was present because she looked into our eyes, but is that enough to be present? Well, after that, Abramovic got into this stardom Bing with Lady Gaga, James Franco, and celebrity and fashion and blah 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 blah. And in the meantime, there was this letter that interested me, written by Sarah Wookie, who applied for, auditioned in November the 7th, 2012, for performing with Marina Abramovic at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles at the annual gala. And there she was asked to lie naked and speechless on a slowly rotating table, starting from before guests arrived and lasting until after they left, a total of nearly 4 hours. And she was expected to ignore any potential physical or verbal harassment while performing. She was paid $150, and if she talked to someone or that she moved, she could be sued. She was liable for being sued by Bounce Events Marketing Incorporated, the events producer with Marina Abramovic, for a sum of $1 million plus attorney's fees. So there we start seeing where the connectivity and the loving and the human thing in Marina Abramovic lies, in money. So I truly believe that Marina Abramovic, Hans Obrist, Ulrich, and the Serpentine are transforming human connection and love into a commodity to be manipulated according to the circumstances. There is no love there, only business. Somehow, I have the impression that Marina does not even know how fake she is. She just wants to compensate of how unloved she was by that terrible mother. Can we blame her? The problem is just she's doing it with money. She's not doing it with real love.